For years, the streets were my home. The concrete was my bed, and the neon signs were my stars, my crew, my boys. We thought we were kings. We ran these blocks, or at least, that's what we told ourselves. Looking back, we weren't kings. We were captives, chasing a high that never lasted, running from a past that was always one step behind, and staring into a future that was just a black hole. Every day was the same script: hustle, hide, and try to forget the hollowness inside. I remember looking in the mirror or a grimy storefront window and not recognizing the person staring back. The eyes were tired, filled with a kind of old man weariness that a young man shouldn't have. There was a hardness there, a shield I'd built brick by brick with every bad choice, every burned bridge. Every night spent wondering if I'd see the sunrise. I was surrounded by people, but I had never felt more alone. We called each other brothers, but we were just a collection of broken souls, leaning on each other so we wouldn't fall, but we were all sinking together. Purpose, that was a word for other people. For the folks in suits rushing to their 9-to-5s. For the families in the suburbs with their white picket fences. For me, purpose was just making it to the next day. Surviving, that was the grand ambition. I felt dirty. Used up, like a car stripped for parts and left to rust on the side of the road. I believed the lie that I was too far gone, that my slate was so covered in black marks there was no room for anything else. Who would want someone this broken? Then, one Sunday, something shifted. I wasn't looking for it. Honestly, I was just walking, trying to clear my head after another rough night. I passed by a church, the kind I'd always ignored. Buti steam, the sound out into the sidewalk, and it wasn't just music. It felt like warmth, like a hand on my shoulder. I stood there for a long time, just listening. I don't know why, but I walked up those steps. Every part of me screamed to turn back. You don't belong here. They'll see right through you. They'll see the dirt. I slipped into a back pew, trying to be invisible. The pastor was speaking, and his words. They cut through all the noise in my head. He was talking about grace, about how it's not something you earn. He looked out at the congregation, and it felt like he was looking right at me when he said it. He said, "Maybe you feel like you've messed up too many times. Maybe you think you're too broken for God to fix. But I'm here to tell you, God isn't done with you yet." Those words, God isn't done with you yet, they hit me like a tidal wave. It wasn't a shout. It was a whisper that echoed in the deepest, most broken parts of my soul. Me, the guy who had hurt people, who had been hurt, who had given up on himself 1,000 times over. God wasn't done with me. For the first time in as long as I could remember, something other than despair began to bubble up inside me. It felt like hope. That day, I walked to the front of that church. My legs were shaking. Tears were streaming down my face, not tears of sadness, but tears of release. I felt years of grime, of shame, of failure being washed away. It wasn't magic. It was a choice to accept that I wasn't a lost cause, to accept a second chance I never thought I deserved. Leaving the old life wasn't easy. It was a fight. The streets have a way of calling you back. Old friends, old habits. They don't just disappear. There were days I stumbled. Days the old voices of doubt and shame got loud. Bytte stim alone. I had a new family, a church family that surrounded me, that prayed for me, that reminded me of who I was becoming, not who I used to be. They didn't see me as too dirty or too broken. They saw me as a brother. Slowly, everything started to change. I started to see the world differently. I started to see myself differently. That hollow feeling was being filled with something new, purpose. I realized all that pain, all those years in the dark. They weren't wasted. They were part of my story. They gave me a unique ability to connect with others who were still where I used to be. I could look them in the eye and say with total conviction, I get it. I've been there. Now, my purpose isn't just to survive. It's to help others see that they're not too far gone either. I go back to those same streets, but now I walk them with a light inside me. I share my story, not to brag, but to be a living, breathing example that transformation is real. I get to be the one to tell someone else, hey, listen to me. God isn't done with you yet. That phrase isn't just something I heard. It's the truth I live by. It's a promise. A second chance isn't about erasing your past. It's about rewriting your future. It's about understanding that your worth isn't defined by your worst moments. If you re-listening to this and you feel like you're at the end of your rope, if you feel lost, broken, or just plain tired of the fight, I need you to hear me. You are not a lost cause. Your story isn't over. There is a love that can meet you exactly where you are and a purpose waiting for you that is greater than anything you can imagine. Your transformation story is just waiting to begin. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe for more stories of hope and transformation.